Hi, everybody. This is Wintermute here with Jinx. So, we're going to talk today about my experience with doing a YouTube war and things that I learned about doing a YouTube war, which I think is kind of an interesting thing to discuss in and of itself, apart from whatever game you're talking about, because there are other games that you can do a YouTube kind of style
Hmm.
game with, but at the same time, I think Global War or any sort of Action Allies or Dudes on a Map game kind of lends itself to it.
Hmm.
So I want to talk about some of my experiences, things that I learned about doing it, things I hadn't thought about, and things that I started doing it this way, but then I kind of started doing it this way because I go, okay, this will work better.
Hmm. Hmm.
Now, Jinx has experience with this as well. So this is one of the reasons I wanted to actually have this discussion with him so he can kind of put in his 2 cents as we kind of go
Yeah.
from topic to topic and
Yeah.
bring up anything he thinks is worth noting.
Hmm.
Just for people, and this is for anybody who wants to do one or people who watch them on a regular basis, but maybe don't fully appreciate kind of things because it's one of those things where you think, oh yeah, it's whatever. You just start recording and you do your turn. There's a little
Hmm.
more to it than that,
Yeah. There
that
is.
you
There
won't
is.
appreciate until you actually do it yourself. So,
Hmm. 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 Yeah. For my part on this, um, I did have some experience on YouTube War as well, but I want to kind of function as somewhat of a foil to whatever you have to say and kind of raise alternative points or perspectives and this kind of stuff, and just have generally a dialogue and see what comes from it.
okay. Yeah, yeah, and I think that's good.
Hmm.
So one of the things that I learned is before you start playing, try to vet the players that you're going to be playing with.
Hmm.
Because between you and me, Jinx, that Panzer King guy, I swear to God, he eats babies.
Well, we've heard that in the
I
last
can't
4 years quite
put
a few
my
times, haven't we?
I don't have hard evidence, but all the circumstantial evidence
That's right. Yeah,
pointing to that is
that's
there.
right. It
And
would
this
explain
dude
a
is
lot.
messed up in the head. Okay.
It would explain a
Um,
lot, wouldn't it?
yes,
Right?
yes. That dude
Yeah,
is he's out there and nuts. And I mean, just so vet the people you're gonna play with.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
But to, but in reality, there's different play styles. There's just
Mm,
different play groups. There's different personalities.
mm,
There are people who, and in a general sense, there are people there. I have friends I will never game with.
mm.
I will play any game with. There are
Yeah,
friends who I will play board games with, but I would never play a tabletop RPG with,
yeah,
and vice
yeah,
versa.
yeah,
And then there
yeah.
are people who I will play this tabletop RPG with, but not this one.
Mm,
This ain't their cup of tea.
mm,
And so it is with board games.
mm,
Um, and particularly board games of and this particular kind of way of playing over
mm.
YouTube, can create a lot of a lot of issues that you're just not aware of. But it's always better to hopefully you get the chance for it to be a regular group that you play with on a regular
Yeah,
basis, or
that's
you
right.
know well, or you talk
Mm,
too well, or
yeah.
and it's like, okay, I think this will be fine. But at
Mm,
the end of the day, maybe it won't be.
mm, mm.
And because
Yeah,
of that, that you gotta kind of think about these possibilities.
yeah.
You don't want to see a friendship ruined because you guys get frustrated with each other because
Sure. Yeah.
over miscommunication over something.
Mm, mm.
But
Yeah.
it is a good idea to kind of vet the group that you're going to be in. And it's perfectly okay to say, man, I really want to play this, but
Yeah.
is it really worth it? Would I be
Yeah.
better off waiting another couple months till a different kind of group
Yeah.
comes up or
Sure.
another
Yeah.
opportunity comes up? And you know what? I've had to do that with some tabletop RPGs. Man, I really want to play that. That is not my. That is a kick in the door, stab it in the face before you try to do anything else. It's like they
Right.
can't, and that's okay. There's a game.
Yeah.
There's a reason to
Yeah.
play that style. That can be fun. But if it ain't your thing, it ain't your thing.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. And the thing is, like me and you, I know you for a while now. I don't know if I'd enjoy playing a game with you. I think I would, but at the same token, it's like we're both very
Well, I am
critically
a
minded
dick.
individuals. Well, yeah, I'm not gonna say it, but but there is some truth behind it. It's like both of us are critically minded. Like when we get anywhere, we just get stuck. Sometimes you just want fun. somebody who's a little bit funny and silly and just does kind of whatever, and you just have fun with it, right? Like, so
Mhm.
people that you create with, you might not want to game with, and that kind of thing, right? So it's
Mhm.
worthwhile getting to know them a little bit and playing. And especially this game is a commitment, the Global War 36, and an online YouTube war is such a bigger commitment, and you're gonna have to deal with these people a lot more in stressful situations. So it can put you in a crucible, and if there's if you have issues with that person, it'll blow them up, and if you have good vibes with that person, it can magnify that and make it a better experience.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And to that end, one thing to keep in mind when you go into something like this is, there are, make sure you're all on the same,
yeah,
try your best to make sure you're on the
yeah.
same page as far as understanding the rules.
Right, right.
Um,
And not
there
only that,
are,
even like say competitively as well too. Like if you have
Mhm.
somebody who's completely, 100% focused on the end, a victory, and everyone else is just like, yeah, I just gotta have fun with it, right? Like you could have very
Yes,
disparate kind of ways of playing too.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's another thing. There are people who I played Axis and Allies with that
Mm,
they're good guys,
mm,
but they're so hyper focused on
mm.
winning at all
Yeah,
costs,
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
all of you. You always have to play to the
yeah,
optimal way. You always have,
yeah.
and it's
That's
like,
right. Yeah,
dude,
yeah,
we're just gonna try. I just want to try something different this
yeah,
game. We're
yeah,
like,
yeah,
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 but this is. It's like, well, maybe you're right, maybe you're
yeah,
not, but I
yeah,
want to try something different, and
yeah.
maybe I that's it. That's all. I to, generally speaking, I'm a very relaxed gamer.
Mm,
I mean, I know I can be an intense person, sure,
mm.
but I usually I'm not a very actually I hate competitive play.
Right, right.
I absolutely hate playing
Yeah,
competitively. I used to play Magic the Gathering, on a very small level competitively,
yeah.
and I thought about taking it to the next step, but I realized that wasn't my kind of thing. I played
No,
Warhammer
no.
40K competitively, and that experience was what ultimately made me decide I don't want to play competitive games
Mm,
ever.
mm,
And to be
mm.
quite honest, I honestly believe most Axis and Ally style games do not lend themselves to competitive play in a general sense, in terms of like a tournament style play.
Mm.
But some people will always be in that mindset of this is a competition at all costs.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I'll be honest with you. I've lost more Axis and Allies games than I've won. I could
Wow.
easily say that.
Yeah.
Easily
Okay.
say that.
Yeah.
But that's also part of the reason why I know I am at this point a stronger player because
Sure.
of it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I really don't care whether I win or lose. I just want to play the best game possible.
Yeah.
That
That's right.
that's
Yeah.
really that's
Yeah.
really what I care about.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Another thing with I mean, do you have anything to add to that?
No. No. I think it's. I have stuff I could say, but let's pass for now. Yeah.
um, to that same kind of end, like I was saying, is try understand the mentality of the people you're playing with.
Mhm.
If there's different interpretations of rules, it's something you need to get hashed out ahead of time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Most games don't have these issues. Most games are, but and I've had this, and I know I've used this example before, where my group played a game, but we misread one sentence, and
Yeah.
we're talking like 5 or 6 guys all misread
Yeah.
the same
Yeah. Yeah.
sentence,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
another gamer comes in from a different group, moves to the city, and comes in from a completely different
Yeah.
environment, and goes, "Hey, you guys are playing that wrong." And we're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, crap!"
Yeah.
And that would really suck to find that out halfway
Yeah.
through
Sure. Sure.
again
Yeah.
this
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of
That's right.
commitment.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But that does happen, and it can
Yeah.
happen.
It does. Yeah. Yeah.
So if there's any, and honestly, it's not something that's easy to catch
Mm-hmm.
until it really comes up and is like suddenly an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Though, if you think there are any possibilities of this, talk about it beforehand
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to the best of your ability.
Mm-hmm.
Say, hey guys, my group has always played it this way, but I've heard other groups play it this way. If there's anything like that, bring it up to the group.
Yeah.
Try to get
Yeah.
that hashed out ahead of time,
Yeah. If you're aware of it. Yeah. Absolutely.
especially if it's something that can really impact an overall somebody's strategy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we did in fact have this happen in Crimson Tide, where a rule was clarified from HBG, and we all kind of went, uh, none of us were playing it right.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Turns out
Yeah.
none of us,
Hmm.
not one person in that game, was playing it correctly.
Hmm. Right.
So
Yeah.
there's a sign it can happen right
Sure.
there.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
all, and it did have an impact
Yeah.
on, I can say for sure it did have an impact on my overall strategy,
Okay.
because my overall strategy was assuming it worked this way.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, I got to rethink things now.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
it turns out I moved forward with things as they were because it wasn't a huge thing,
Yeah.
but it was still a thing that could have had a big impact on the overall play of the game.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So it's good to kind of try to get that stuff hashed out ahead of time.
Mhm. Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, every gamer group has a micro ecosystem essentially of the misunderstandings of the rule. And this game is a vast, complex game with many different variables and rules and exceptions and FAQs and errata. So it stands to reason that there's going to be some misinterpretations here, there, everywhere. And so when you get people from, in a YouTube war setting, coming in from all parts of the world, different ecosystems, bringing their preconceived notions into it, it's worthwhile kind of as much as possible analyzing those kind of issues that you think might be issues or like we weren't quite sure with this one or whatever and try to hammer them out.
Oh yeah, not
Absolutely,
down a
I
little, please.
agree. Yeah, I actually can't hear anything at all from back there, but yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
kids.
yeah.
Um. So yeah. Let's see. Yeah. So try to work out the rules questions prior to play. Now,
Mm,
one thing that I realized is obviously this game it's a big time commitment, and sometimes I would get off work, and sometimes my energy levels would be a little lower this day or whatnot, or just stuff.
yeah,
And I did say to myself, okay, well, I've got to update the Italian, the U.S., the German player's turn
yeah,
tonight, and then I can really start thinking about my turn. And then sometime later tonight, Japanese player will update their turn, or the Russian player, and then the
yeah,
Japanese player are right next to each other.
yeah,
So real
yeah,
quick, they usually do their turns quickly. And then tomorrow I'll update for them, and then I'll do my turn. Yeah, that sometimes that was really optimistic,
yeah, for
like
sure.
unrealistically optimistic.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
one of the things that I realized, one of the reasons I realized that was so unrealistic was an unrealistic expectation is if somebody posts a video that is an hour long because it's a big turn and it just
hmm
takes that much time to get the turn done,
hmm
expect it to, and I'm telling you right now, expect it to take you 2 hours to get your
Oh
board
yeah,
updated.
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
And I did
absolutely.
not realize that until I got into
Mm-hmm.
it. You
Mm-hmm.
think you can just hit play and just move things around? On a good
No.
day, you're gonna have that video paused every couple minutes,
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
because if when you're trying to update your board, now there's different ways to update your board, but I can't tell you how many times, and the German player in particular, because they have big builds.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
You know,
They
it
have a
was like
complex thing. Yeah.
it was like, okay, I'll look at it. Now one thing is I'm usually updating my board on my phone, so I'm looking at
Mm-hmm.
my phone. If
Right.
I was looking at a computer screen, it might be a little different. It might be easier to see the figurines.
Yeah,
But because
maybe.
I've got my phone, basically I've got my phone set up on a tripod,
Yeah,
just sitting there in the middle of my table, so I can just go back and
yeah,
forth. You hit play, okay, move some stuff
yeah,
around, move some stuff around.
yeah,
Oh, okay, too much. Back, hit
yeah,
pause and get
yeah,
caught up.
yeah.
But it's you know, I'm really looking, and I've got to really listen. Okay, I'm building two of
Mm-hmm.
these, eight of
Mm-hmm.
these, seven of these, and I'm also doing two of these. And it's like, okay, stop.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got to pull out the German stuff,
Yeah,
put it
exactly. Yeah,
here.
yeah.
And I realized to make sure I was doing it right, I did have to do it step by step,
Yeah, 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 for
and,
sure.
and really go through that turn, and update my board in pretty even the combats.
Mm-hmm.
I would pull the pieces off and pull them off to the side
Mm-hmm.
and sit them up like I was going to do the fights themselves. I actually tried. I actually didn't do that at first, and I would just kind of fast forward to the end of the combat.
And see
Didn't
what's
work.
left over. No?
Didn't
Okay.
work. Just see what's left over. And there's a couple reasons it was a problem. One of which is sometimes the players don't automatically audibly state what's left over.
Yeah,
They assume you watch the combat, and that's
yeah,
not inappropriate on their part. It's not
yeah.
inappropriate on their
Sure,
part.
sure.
It's
Yeah,
just one of those things I didn't
yeah,
expect to be an
yeah,
issue.
yeah,
So I
yeah, yeah.
realized early on, I got to watch this whole video, and it's going to take me twice as long to get through this thing because I'm
Mm-hmm.
constantly having to pause it or back up a little. Did I hear that right?
Mm-hmm.
And no fault of their own. They inadvertently mumbled a little bit,
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah, yeah,
or what
absolutely. Yeah.
happens? All right, I'm going to move these guys from here to here. Okay, wait, what?
Yeah,
Where to
exactly. Yeah,
where?
yeah. Here, here. Yeah,
And
yeah,
I learned that
yeah,
every time I move something, I need to make it a point to audibly state I'm
yeah. I'm
moving these
moving
two
two
infantry from
infantry. Yeah,
Yugoslavia into Greece, into
yeah. Macedonia.
you wherever, wherever,
Yeah, sure.
pick a
Yeah,
spot in the map.
yeah,
And C zone blah to C zone blah, I'm moving this,
yeah, 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 yeah.
and then on top of that, always state what zone you're talking about first.
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
Because I chided my teammate a little bit for okay, uh because he would list off units and then
Yeah.
tell you what territory they were in.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, stop it.
Go the other way around.
Go the other way. You've got to tell
Yeah,
me what
yeah.
territory so I can
Yeah, that's
look
right.
right
Yeah,
at it. Otherwise,
yeah,
I'm scanning the map. Wait, where
yeah,
do I have three militia and two infantry?
yeah,
Dude, oh, it's here. It's oh, I wanted to
yeah.
reach for the phone and strangle him. But of course, it was a chiding kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
thing.
yeah. No, no, for sure.
But
Yeah.
I realized that I needed to make it a point to train myself to do that same thing.
Hmm.
And I certainly caught myself uh, at times where I would go, all right, well, I'm going to move this guy from here to here. Okay, don't, no, 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 stop.
Yeah,
I'm moving this guy from C zone here to C zone here.
yeah,
Or you
yeah.
reach, I'm going to scoot that guy over. And you don't think about it because in a normal game, you
Hmm.
necessarily aren't even calling it out.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
just
Oh
kind of
yeah,
moving
for
your
sure.
stuff around.
Yeah, yeah. That's right. Yeah,
So
yeah.
being clear with your turn verbally, and
Hmm.
this way, and I tried to do my turns like, I tried to get it to the point where somebody didn't even have to look at my video. They
Yeah.
could just hear the
Audio.
audio
Yeah.
and know what to do.
Sure. Yeah.
And
Exactly. You
I
have to
and
train
I'm
yourself
I'm
how to speak it. Yeah.
right, yes.
Yeah.
And because that for some people they would have long stretches where I could do that with their video. I could just
Hmm.
sit my phone off to the side. I could just listen. All right, eight guys
Yeah.
here. I'm building eight of
Yeah.
these,
Oh yeah.
and I wouldn't even have to look at it. It didn't
Yeah.
matter what was, but
Yeah.
I could work on it. So it's going to take you a lot longer to update your board than you
It will.
realize.
Yeah. So
And at
like,
the same time, you want to be very clear with
yeah.
what you're doing on your turn.
That's right, yeah. So say in your case, or let's go in my case because I know my story a little bit more. If if the German player played by who did he play? Panzer played the German. So he did his German turn. It took him say half an hour to film his stuff up, right? Half an hour. Now, if he was concise in his speech and said things correctly, then that's a little bit longer than it takes in an actual board game. Like an actual board game, we're like, bup, 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 bup. All my combat moves are done. You don't need to list them all off, right? So it
Mhm.
takes
Yep.
longer compared board game to YouTube war game. You have to be like, I'm moving two infantry from Romania to southern Ukraine and something like that, right? They're crossing a river sometimes you might throw in there. So it takes longer to do your German turn than in the physical board game. And then you have to watch it on the receiving. Well, first, then you have to put up your video, put it online, right? And then I have to watch it. And I'm similar to you. I put my phone down somewhere. I usually have a Bluetooth headset and I just listen to it and kind of try to keep up with it. But you're pausing all the time. So his turn takes longer. It takes longer for you to absorb his turn down. And so you end up spending a good bit of time extra than otherwise. And like you say, you keep pausing and playing. And sometimes too, it could catch yourself out. Like if you rely just on your ears without watching, sometimes it's like, okay, I'm moving these two guys from the Netherlands to Belgium. And this is actually what happened. These two Marines from the Netherlands to Belgium. And so I looked on the map, like, they are in Netherlands right now. Like, which one was correct? And the border is so small there, it's hard to say. So, did he mean to say I'm moving these two from the Western Germany to Netherlands, or Netherlands to Belgium, or like what is it, right? And so, in my case, I'm gonna just leave that, and I'm gonna ask him later on. And when he, confirms later on, and I never did, and then that caused me to lose London basically because I didn't when I looked at the map on my turn, it was like trying to analyze what's what. It's like, well, I don't have to worry about that because there's nothing yet there. And it turned out it was. So anyway, so you can't always trust verbally what they say, or you can't sometimes trust visually what they do because
Mhm.
sometimes they move something that you can't do. And so adding to the length that it takes to do the game, you have to watch it, you have to pause frequently, you have to you have to clarify with the other person, right? And then you have to go back to your board and maybe double clarify just to make sure, and then everybody double checks that you're good to go, and then you do your own turn, right? So it takes a lot longer, much longer. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And that goes into the next point I want to make is mistakes are going to happen.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The chance of
And
making
and thanks to all
yeah.
the commentators and subscribers who watch, like Didier, Trig, and all the other people I've kind of keeping tabs on things. I've heard it reported, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I've heard it reported that they at least in your guys' game, they followed it on Tabletop Simulator. Didier did.
I had
And
heard that as well. And I'm
yeah,
like, wow,
yeah.
somebody's got a lot of time on their
I know. Well, yeah,
hands.
yeah, yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, yeah.
But
But
if that's if that's the best way that they want, if that's how they
yeah,
enjoy it, maybe he
yeah,
doesn't
they
have a
enjoy it.
normal
Yeah,
group, and
yeah,
this is
yeah,
how he
yeah.
kind of vicariously gets to
Yeah,
play.
yeah,
Whatever the
yeah,
case is. I
yeah,
mean, oh, sure,
yeah.
whatever works for you.
There's some
Um,
board games I watch and I would never want to play them, but I love watching them.
hmm hmm
Yeah. So there's people of all
Yeah,
types.
I haven't played Hearthstone in over a year, but I still enjoy watching it sometimes.
Right, right.
It's an
Sometimes,
enjoyable game to watch. Yeah.
yeah, I used to write down after action reports for games I didn't even play just because whatever, right? Like
Yeah.
different people do different
Sometimes it's
things.
fun to analyze.
Yeah,
Be
absolutely.
that
Yeah.
Monday morning quarterback, that
That's right.
armchair
Yeah,
general.
totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, yeah. So good on these
Um,
guys. Yeah.
so with the idea of mistakes though, is if you're moving your pieces around and something doesn't add up, like, wait a minute, I saw and this happened a couple times where
Mm,
somebody looked at somebody else's board in the video and it didn't match up with my board, or
mm.
vice versa.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah,
Or somebody would
absolutely.
just
Yeah,
go into WhatsApp and be like,
yeah, yeah,
"Hey, I noticed you have two infantry sitting there in
yeah,
zone X, but I don't have them on my map."
yeah.
And then another problem that came up is we had those colonial units.
Right.
But one of the players had grabbed the wrong colonial unit and
Oh,
had that
okay.
sitting in Aden. They had
Yeah, I
grabbed
see.
the some
Sorry.
Solomon Islands
Yeah.
guy
Right.
inadvertently,
Yeah.
accidentally, and had him over here when it was really the Fiji guy who should have been in Aden. And
Sure.
so he just sent me a messaging to hey,
Yeah.
this isn't adding up. And so I clarified, yeah, it was and of course it made more sense because
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Fiji guy's the Marine, so I want him
Right.
with the
Right.
other Marines in
Yeah.
Aden.
Yeah. 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 Gotcha. Yeah.
Um, but little things like that happen all the time.
Hmm.
You just happen to look
Absolutely.
at somebody else's map and it's not, and so you ask to get it clarified.
Hmm. Hmm.
WhatsApp is great for this.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's good.
Um, and this way,
Endorsement. Just kidding.
yeah. And the nice thing with WhatsApp is you don't, like with emails or direct messages,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, you ask that person, they clarify it, and then you might want to put it to the whole group or email that to other
Mm,
people. Well, with WhatsApp, you just ask the question in the main channel, he'll
mm,
answer it, and then anybody else's map who may have been a little off for whatever reason, they just fix it.
mm. Yeah.
And
That's
this
right.
way everybody understands, oh, okay, I get what's put on
Mm, mm.
there.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
mistakes are going to happen. Maps misaligning,
Mm.
I realized happens a lot, and it's easy to
Right.
do. It's real easy to do
Yeah.
for
And
some of the
also,
reasons we've already
and
stated.
sometimes you just want to do a shortcut, right? Like you have your little production spot right here. This is where you put all your units you're going to put on the map, and you keep your camera on it and be like, okay, I'm going to put these dudes here. And you don't really know if that's where they ended up, right? A person might have mistaken, misread something, and put something somewhere else, right? So there's
Mhm.
those things. Mistakes happen, and it's not malicious. It's just accidental, purely,
Mhm.
right? Yeah.
And one compounding problem, which again
Mm.
extends the amount of time you have to commit to this,
Yeah.
is if we're all sitting around a table, even
Hi,
if
kids.
the
I'm doing
players
a
who
video
aren't
right now,
active,
so yeah.
even if the players who aren't active are kibitzing,
Go upstairs now, yeah? Go upstairs. Go upstairs. Go upstairs.
hey, she can go play with my kids. They can go off camera and play.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Um, if we were all sitting around at the same table, God, he's like a miniature version of you.
I know, right?
The same shirt and everything.
That's right. Yeah, accidentally.
I'm sure that wasn't planned.
No, it wasn't planned at all. Actually, yeah. Just
Um,
sorry. Okay, I have to send them all away.
yeah, they're just gonna, they're so adorable, it's distracting.
Okay, there we go. Sorry about that.
No, no, trust me, I understand. I'm sure most of the people who are watching understand as well. It's
Yeah.
kids are kids, and
Yeah.
kids are great, but they're still kids.
They're still kids. Yeah, that's
What?
right. Yeah.
What? I wasn't being rude.
All right. Sorry.
Okay, let's
Where
get
were
back
we?
on track. Where were we? Oh, okay. So if we're all sitting around a table and you make a mistake with a movement, it's more than likely somebody's just going to go, "Oh, hold on right there," and then you'll get it fixed right there in 3 seconds. But you make a mistake on your YouTube video, that's it. There's no way to quickly fix it. Now you got to
Mhm.
either do an addendum. You got to. I did this several times where I would go in and I would add
Yeah.
I
A
would
little clip.
pin a comment. Oh,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
you may sometimes a whole video clip,
Yeah. Sometimes.
or
Yeah.
the next guy has to make the correction for you,
Mhm.
or you can just post a sticky comment that basically says, okay, couple corrections.
Mhm.
IPP had or FEC had this many IPPs, and
Mhm.
this unit couldn't have been built here, so I put them
Mhm.
over here instead. and things like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. Yeah.
It's lucky, it was fortunate. I mean, once or twice I caught it I was on the French turn and I forgot something on the British turn, and I can,
Right.
oh,
Yeah, yeah,
I just realized I missed those rolls. Okay, we're just going to roll that right now while I'm
yeah,
still filming.
yeah. Totally, totally. Yeah,
In a normal game, a lot of that stuff would be caught right away
yeah.
because somebody's watching
By
what your
yourself
moves
or
are
your
because
allies or
they
whatever.
have a
Yeah.
vested interest
Mm,
in immediately knowing, oh, he's going to
mm,
move his armor there. Okay,
mm.
wait a minute, those two infantry can't go there. Or that
Yeah,
guy can't
that's right.
fly there, kind of a thing.
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
So all that is even more extended
Mm.
in terms
It
of
is.
time and
It is.
corrections
Yeah,
and sometimes frustration
yeah,
in
yeah,
getting it all fixed.
yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Um, so that's another thing to take into consideration is it definitely helps to be a patient person
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
when you're
Yeah.
doing a game of this style.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
If you are somebody who gets bent out of shape over your opponents making mistakes, this is probably not for you.
Mm-hmm.
I'll
Yeah.
be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
I'll be
Yeah.
perfectly honest because it's going to happen, and it's going to take a little bit of time and
It
a
will.
lot of talking to fix it out, fix
It
it.
will. Yeah.
And everybody's at a different skill level, and there's
Mm-hmm.
so some
Yeah.
person may have played 2 dozen times, one person maybe their second or third time, and
Mm-hmm.
it's easy for him to forget all these special little abilities for his nation,
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
or little things for combats, and it's
Mm-hmm.
easy to forget terrain. Unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
it's just
It is,
it
yeah, one of
happens.
those things, yeah, yeah. And
So
oddly enough, too, so it's like you end up having to, yeah. Anyways, yeah, yeah. There's a lot to it for sure, absolutely, yeah.
so do you have anything else to add to that? I think you covered
No,
that
I think it
pretty
was
well.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was good. Yeah.
Um, One thing that I would also point out is understand that your actions, everything you do in that game, is going to be scrutinized
Mm-hmm.
by
Yeah,
the
that's right.
viewing public.
Mm-hmm.
And so long as, and some people just do not like being scrutinized,
Nope, that's true.
even by somebody who is being polite
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and genuinely, like, hey, I'm curious why you did
Sure.
X
Yeah, yeah,
instead
yeah,
of
yeah,
Y.
yeah.
And some people just don't like that. If you don't like
No.
that, I wouldn't do this. And I mean
Yeah.
that in all sincerity. This isn't the type of venue for you.
No, that's true. And unfortunately, text, when you make a comment in text, oftentimes emotions or the way that you mean things don't come across clearly to the individual, right? So you're saying, "Hey, you forgot this." Well, you read that and you read it in the most negative possible way you can. It's like, well,
Mm-hmm.
you know, what do they mean I forgot this? Of course I forgot some stuff. Their standards are so high, I forgot stuff. Whereas for them, they're like, hey, just so you
Mm-hmm.
forgot something, right? Like, we don't understand how it is. And so it's unfortunate that people, when they read stuff, they read it in a negative way. And to the point where oftentimes a person just tempted to be like, I'm going to shut down the comment section because it's just all like, you forgot this, you forgot this, you forgot this. And, why did you do this? It's like, I know, I'm sorry.
And you know what? And in all fairness, there were times I was asked, how come you did X?
Yeah.
And I chose not to respond
Okay.
because that because I did not want to explain my general strategy.
That's another factor. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's not, it wasn't me being rude,
Yeah.
and
But
maybe
it's like maybe part
but
of
it's
it's
like,
like I don't want you to point out this part because that might have it might mean that my opponent will make a mistake here, and so by you pointing it out is like wow,
and I'll admit I do, while I'm very open about the
yeah,
rules, and I would do
sure,
everything I could to clarify
yeah,
rules beforehand,
yeah,
even if it meant tipping my hand about
yeah,
something that I was particularly on my mind.
yeah,
Who cares? It's better to
mm,
just get it clarified at a
mm-hmm,
time.
mm-hmm,
But if it came to answering a question regarding a specific strategy, generalized strategy for the overall flow of the game for me, I
mm-hmm,
don't want to comment on
mm-hmm. Nope, that's right.
because I tend to hold my cards close
You
to my
do,
chest.
yeah, you do, yeah, 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 for sure. I
So
was kind of on the opposite side of the spectrum. Is like I trusted the other individuals to be like, yeah, I'm gonna make a secret video and I'm gonna talk all about strategy, and it's like I don't really know if they're gonna respect my wishes and not watch my video, but I'm gonna share it with everybody and all the viewers and such. And the risk there is, of course, that viewers will watch my strategy videos and be like, hey, Panzer King. You could do this, or you better watch out for his medium bombers because he can really get you over here, right? So the risk is that it'll inadvertently you'll feed those ideas into people's minds, and and they'll comment on other people's videos and without realizing it and give away your strategy. Yeah.
and as a general rule, I don't comment on other videos unless I've got a question about rules or something,
Yeah. Right.
or I
Right.
want to say "attaboy" or "good
Yeah.
job"
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask. I make it a point person. And this is a personal thing. I make it a point not to ask about general strategy for
Yeah.
that reason. It's like,
Yeah.
well, with all due respect, I don't want to discuss my overall
No,
strategy because
that's
if I
right. Yeah.
talk about this particular point,
Yeah.
it's gonna he'll go, oh,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
see the direction he's going now, and
Yeah.
now I can work against it.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
And there
Yeah.
is, and I do think that is part of this game is
Yeah.
you don't know what's going on in your
Sure.
opponent's head.
Yeah. 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 For sure.
Um,
It's one of the factors I really enjoy about the game is the psychological commanders and their brain against your brain. I really enjoy that, and that's one of the things that when I'm part of YouTube where I like to share my brain because I enjoy it so much when I get to see other people's analysis of the board and the game and how it went. Right.
mhm.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and note right here for anybody, for those who are watching. The next video we do is going to be me explicitly discussing the Commonwealth strategy and the Free French strategy
Yeah.
for Crimson Tide, what I was expecting going into it, how it changed, how I think it worked, what I might do different next time.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Right
as
on.
a heads up as to what our next video
Yeah.
is going to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right
Because
on.
I do
Yeah.
want to discuss that. I
Yeah.
just did not want to discuss it during the game with the
Yeah.
general public
Yeah.
because
That's right.
I don't want to tip my hand
Yeah.
because I
That's right.
was doing something that I think you haven't really seen much before.
Mm-hmm.
You know, pretty early,
Mm-hmm.
I was doing things with Britain that I
Yep.
most people
Yep.
don't do. So
Yeah.
I didn't want to tip my hand and show the end game.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Did you have other points on there that you wanted to make?
Um, the last point that I really wanted to make is try your best to win. And we talked about this before. Try your best to win, but don't be overly worried about whether you do or not. This
Mm-hmm.
is not.
Yep.
This is if you get into a YouTube war to prove to people how good a player you are, you're doing it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly went to Crimson Tide. I don't care with the I don't care whether I win or lose. Unfortunately, some people, and I've dealt with lots of gamers like this, even tabletop RPGs, which should
Mm-hmm.
not be that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's you win at all costs. I'm here to prove I'm the best Dungeons and Dragons player in the world.
Right. Right.
I
Right.
can design the best character in the world.
Right.
I
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
the best strategy in the world for this particular board game. I'm the
Right.
world's
Right.
greatest risk player.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
missing the
Yeah.
point.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
knew going into this, I'm going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
I'm going to have people questioning my overall strategy. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't assume my overall strategy was going to work.
Mm-hmm.
That was the point. Let's test it.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
I
Yeah.
like to explore new
Yeah.
options.
Yeah. Yeah. For
You
sure.
know, and then you've got other people who are going to come back. And again, in the comments, and sometimes people will be negative. It's like, well, especially with hindsight, well, obviously that strategy wasn't going to work. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I'm glad you have clairvoyance. I don't. I had to actually go through the process
Sure.
to
Sure. Yeah.
test
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Okay, and knowing that it may not work, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay knowing I accept that. You know what? I
Yeah.
want to try this instead of
Yeah.
that.
That's right.
See
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
that will work out. But if it
Yeah.
doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
now
For
know
sure.
something better.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a feature behind Axis and Allies, the classic version or whatever. Not classic, but 1940 G40 whatever it's called. The issue there was like, oh, you got to do this strategy. If you don't do this strategy, you're probably gonna lose. It's like, well, that takes a lot of the fun away. It's like you have this predetermined set of strategies you have to do. If they do this, you counter with that. If you do this, they might counter with that. It's like this is not chess, and you know I have love-hate relationship with chess. Just for that reason, it needs to have a set of randomness behind it, and sometimes, you know, in this game, it's like you sometimes gotta try something else because you have no idea what impact it's going to have on the rest of the game. It might,
Mhm.
you know, it might even destabilize your opponent. I'm writing down, I'm working on different videos behind the scenes right now. One of them is like going over strategic concepts, and one of them is basically along the lines of like psychological war. You know, if you're Germany, invade Scotland. Well, I'm not going to be able to hold Scotland for very long. Doesn't matter. Just do it. You know, because at the end of the day, your opponent's like, you know, they might take Scotland again, so I need to put extra units down there, and so you've actually made them spend more money than otherwise, right? So it kind of seems to work
you
out.
put them off balance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like
Mhm.
sometimes a strategy might seem stupid, but how has it impacted other parts of the globe? By Japan doing this here, maybe it's affected Germany here or Britain here, and something stupid here might mean the Americans are going to go this way instead of this way, and you don't really know the whole scope of things, right? You have a very narrow focus. Not you, but people have a very narrow focus sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, and this goes back to my point where you got to read the board state.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes you just got to throw a curveball.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, sometimes you got to throw a curveball. Absolutely.
And I think that's
throw
really
left-handed or whatever, right? Yeah, totally.
so. Are there any other major points about doing a YouTube war that? Uh, you
I've
think are worth
I've
adding
I
on
have a
based
few.
on your
So
experience?
first of all, we talked about time. Time is a huge factor. Like you think Global War 36 is long, a YouTube war is double, if not triple, the length of time. It's crazy. You need a lot more pieces than you'd expect otherwise. You're gonna have to talk with a lot of people a lot of the time. Like you're gonna talk to collectively. You're probably gonna talk more with the people you play board games with, and if you have a full-time job, then you are going to be with your kids or your spouse at some point. There'll be a lot of like hours worth of audio that you'll exchange throughout the course of the week, right? You'll
Hmm.
find periods where you're just hectically busy, and then it's like nothing for a week because people, it's just the way it works. If you're playing the allies, like in your case, it's like you had this period where it's like boom, 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 boom. You had to do a lot of stuff, and then it was slow, and then wham, 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 wham. Yeah,
Actually, that brings up a point that there's 2 points that I forgot to mention. One is sometimes timing just sucks
yeah, yeah.
because I mean I know my at one point my and hopefully you've got players who are understanding.
Mm-hmm.
I had to do my turn. I was ready to do it Friday, but it got a little later than I wanted. And I'm like, you know what? I'll just put it off till tomorrow morning. I wake
Mm-hmm.
up the next morning, my heater isn't working.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm like, well, that is now the priority.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
then
Yeah.
2 weeks later, my basement was it was raining in my
Yeah,
basement.
yeah.
And again, it was like I'm ready Saturday morning. I come down here and I got water all over the dining room floor, and
Yeah.
it's all pouring down into the basement. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I got a problem.
Yeah,
I,
that's right.
sorry guys, this is my
Yeah.
priority,
Oh yeah,
and that's just
absolutely.
the way it
Yeah.
has to be.
That's the way it is. Yeah, yeah.
Another thing is a lot of the time I would do my video on um, like a Sunday,
Mm.
and then immediately after I get my like within an hour or two, the other two players or
Yeah.
like Italy would knock out their turn next,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then America would knock out their turn, and then Germany the next day would knock out their turn,
Yeah.
and suddenly I'm like, within the course of like
Yeah.
less than 24 hours, I've got to spend several hours updating my map now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
And then there, some of the players were 3 hours behind where I'm at in
Yeah.
the time zones.
Yeah, that's another
So
factor. Yeah.
I would, I would be getting ready for bed because I have to get up pretty early in the
Yeah.
morning. So I'd
Yeah.
be getting ready for bed at 8,
Yeah.
laying down, and then everybody else in the 3 hours behind me is getting out of work,
Yeah.
and they're starting to watch the videos, and they've suddenly
Yeah.
got questions. Hey, had two. Uh,
All over the board, right? Yeah, they have questions. Yeah,
Somebody
at
there goes,
1 a.m. in
hey,
the
I was
morning.
watching your video that you posted 3 hours ago because I'm just now getting out of
Yeah.
work, and I got like a dozen questions for you, and it's like, oh, shit, I'm going down to
Yeah.
bed.
Yeah,
And
exactly. Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
I had to just say, hey guys, I know you got some
Yeah.
questions, but I'm not going to listen to them till tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
I have
That's
to
right.
be
Yeah.
up. My alarm goes
Sure.
off at 4:30.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it is what it
Yeah,
is. It's
totally,
just
totally.
it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
crappy timing
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah, for sure.
And that is one thing that maybe you want to discuss with the guys
Mm,
ahead of time.
mm,
And you also want to gauge whether they're going to be a very casual group. Hey
mm.
guys, if it takes 5 days for you to get your turn done, it takes 5 days to get your turn done.
Yeah,
Or is it a group where it's like, okay, well, we would like your video up within 24 hours
mhm.
after
Yeah,
the person is,
yeah,
barring
yeah.
life.
That's
I
right.
mean,
Yeah,
there is a difference in those expectations
there
and the
is.
way
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
and that
yeah.
could really impact
Mm.
one, your
It
enjoyment,
can. Yeah,
two, the rest of your life.
yeah. That's right.
I
Yeah,
mean, how many things are you putting on hold? And
yeah.
maybe you do have to go, guys, I'm sorry, I can't do that.
Mm,
That's a bit much
mm,
for me.
mm.
As much as I wanted to or
Yeah,
thought I could, the
yeah,
reality is I just can't.
yeah. Another point worthwhile bringing up is like you discussed beforehand what spirit of the game you want to have. Do you want to be like, oh, he's just left Berlin exposed? I'm not gonna say anything because I can capture it. Do you want to play that kind of game, or do you want to be like, hey, just so you know, there's an obvious weakness here that will completely wipe you out. Do
Mhm.
you want, like what kind of spirit do you want to have in that sense? You also want to like, and what level, like how far back do you want to critical mistakes, minor mistakes, like hey, guys, what's a good example? Minor mistakes isn't like I forgot to put this unit down. Is that acceptable to put that down or not? That's fairly minor, but on some level, a person might say, well, you snooze, you lose, right? Like you have to decide where on that spectrum you lie about what you want to do. Another
And
issue when it comes to, sorry.
I'm on the very relaxed end of the spectrum.
Yeah, yeah, same, same.
Oh man, I forgot to place these two infantry, and oh, dude, just do it.
Yeah, just do it.
I mean,
Yeah,
there is a certain point where okay, well, we can't. undo
Yeah.
an entire the
Yeah.
last two turns
Yeah.
to give you your bonus.
For me,
You're just
basically,
gonna
you
have to
could,
suck it up.
as far as I'm concerned, I know this is not everybody, and I'm not advising that this is what everybody should do, but my
Mhm.
level of relaxedness is up until I start doing my turn, you can make changes. At that point, it's like, you know what? Yeah, now I have to think a little bit more about stuff, and now you might be taking advantage of my last minuteness,
Mhm.
my grace and now I might be making mistakes now because I didn't have this much chance to think about it. You get the idea, right?
And I
So,
have played with players where if they make a mistake, they expect you to bend over backwards
yeah,
to let them fix it. If you
sure,
make
yeah.
a mistake, screw it. You're
Oh,
out of
yeah,
luck.
yeah.
There are
And,
players that are like, I don't even know. There's at least one. I don't even know if you realize what he was doing,
yeah.
but it was so consistent every time he made a mistake. Guys, I need these $2, or I need to move
Oh,
that
yeah.
piece, or whatever. It's like, oh, okay, well, go ahead
Yeah,
and take
yeah.
$2 and we'll
Yeah, yeah,
live
yeah.
at the end of the
Right,
world.
right.
But
Yeah.
you make it, no, man, that
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like
yeah.
what, like 10 minutes
Yeah.
ago?
Yeah,
Too
that's
late.
right. Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
What?
There's other people too that count the mistakes like, "Well, no, no, I let you get away with two things twice and now you're not letting me get away, like that kind of stuff." It's like, yeah, I've had
Wow.
people like that. It's like, I let you do three things change and now I did two and now I'm catching up with one. It's like, but that seems to be a fairly major mistake that you want to correct for. It seems to be like that's crucial, right? Like I've been hinging, I've been waiting the entire turn and now I'm doing a Pearl Harbor attack and you want to undo that thing that exposed you.
Wow. I have
Yeah.
not encountered that level.
Oh yeah, there's a few people like that. Yeah, Felix, go play
Wow.
somewhere. Go play with those horses over there. Yeah, there's that. Another thing we're thinking in regards to YouTube War is the lengths of the videos that you're comfortable with doing, like how much expose you want to have. Do you want somebody who like puts in World War II footage? Like, what the hell, Panzer King? What the hell? Putting World War II footage in this? Like, well, obviously you're cheating behind the scenes. No,
Well,
but
and
like,
you probably notice the stark difference between my videos and some of the other
sure,
people's
yeah, yeah,
videos.
yeah, yeah.
My videos were very crisp,
Mm.
clean. That's
Mm.
me.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah,
me.
yeah,
Some of that, however you want to produce your videos, I'm not going to belittle you.
yeah,
However, one point I will make: if if I've got to wait 10 minutes before you actually get into your turn, that's going to
yeah.
frustrate me.
That's right. Yeah, yeah,
If you're going to start your turn, do 5 minutes of your turn, then spend 10 minutes explaining the rules, or
yeah,
talking about
yeah,
other aspects of the game,
yeah,
and then move on with your turn,
yeah,
that's going to frustrate me.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now,
Especially if like,
I'm not saying that happened,
yeah,
but
yeah,
I
yeah.
could definitely see the potential for that.
Especially if the person is like dribbling some nuggets of information here and then leave some sort of expose here and then dribble some information here. It's like I don't want to have to watch, this hasn't happened to me, so I'm not saying anything, but I
Mhm.
don't want to have to watch this whole thing just to get those two pieces of information. Oh, guys, I forgot to correct for this one here. It's like I don't want to have to do that. This is taking time away from my wife, my family, my kids, my whatever all else, right? My backyard, beer drinking, whatever all else, right? Like,
Mhm.
yeah, it's taking long enough as it is. Don't stretch it out. So another issue is cheating. My policy on cheating is like you'll eventually be found out. Just don't cheat. Like do everything in the light and just don't cheat. Right? It never pays. And it also is like this is a game, guys. It's not that big a deal. Is my son making too much noise there with the chain? He's playing with a chain.
A what?
A chain, like there's a
Oh,
workout,
a
a piece of
chain.
equipment. Yeah, yeah. I haven't
Okay.
chained to the wall, but it's
Why not?
well, it's just it's not nighttime yet. Okay, anyways, there's captions of YouTube. I gotta read the caption. This video is gonna be bad.
That's the nice thing. I don't make money off YouTube, so nobody
Ah,
can
there we go. Yeah,
demonetize
that's
me.
right. Yeah, yeah,
It's
that's
like,
right.
yeah,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sure, you whatever.
But in,
There
in
is
regards
one.
to
Yeah,
in
go
regards to
ahead.
cheating, like this YouTube wars you can cheat with. So just don't cheat, right? And
Mhm.
at the end of the day, you have to trust the people you're playing with, and you have to also like trust that they're gonna play by honestly, right? It's one of those things that there's just
Yeah,
too many ways a person could cheat. Yeah.
I actually give the vast majority of people the benefit of the
Oh
doubt
yeah, same, same. Yeah, yeah.
until you give me a reason not to.
If I catch you cheating, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
if I catch you cheating,
Mm,
now I believe everybody should have a chance to make amends for mistakes and
sure.
bad
Yeah,
decisions.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Once you've done your time, you've done your time.
yeah,
Welcome back to society.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But you know, if it happens again, then it's
Mm,
a pattern and we're
mm.
done.
Sure. Yeah, yeah,
And I'm not going to assume just because somebody could cheat doesn't mean you assume they did cheat.
mm. Yeah.
And we've seen, I mean, I've seen people that, well, there was that thing that he could have cheated. It's like, well, just because he could have doesn't mean he
Mm.
did.
Yeah, that's right.
You
Yeah,
need
yeah,
evidence to show that
yeah,
he did.
yeah, yeah,
Otherwise, you don't. I mean,
yeah.
yes, I was a cop, so I'm using the same standard that you would in the legal system.
Mm, mm.
Just because somebody could have stolen something doesn't mean they did it. You
They
still
did.
got to
Yeah, absolutely.
prove that they
Yeah,
did it.
that's right. Yeah.
Just the opportunity isn't enough.
Mm,
So,
mm,
but I
mm.
also, then that kind of goes back to vetting and vetting people.
Yeah, that's right.
If you are going to play, if you're unsure whether you can trust somebody you're playing
Yeah,
with, don't play with them.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I,
Mm,
and this is from personal experience where I
mm.
have had yeah, played with people who were in fact cheating constantly, and they
Yeah,
were trying to cover it up,
yeah,
and we never quite got the picture of them doing it, the proof positive. But
yeah,
nobody, after a while, just nobody, we're just not
yeah.
playing with you anymore, man.
That's right.
We're
Yeah,
just not going to
yeah,
do it because, quite
yeah,
frankly, we don't trust your die rolls.
yeah. Pause. You want to pause it on your end?
Oh, yeah, I
Just
can do
pause it.
that.
Okay.
Okay, the
Yeah,
tea
sorry about that.
emergency's been taken care of.
Oh, what's that?
Um,
Yeah.
so we were talking about cheating, and yeah, I just to sum up,
Mm,
if you're caught cheating, you can kiss your reputation goodbye. It
pretty
ain't
much. Yeah.
worth it just
Yeah.
to win
Yeah.
a freaking board
That's right.
game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now
For sure.
nobody will play with you again, and you're a
Mm,
pariah within the
mm,
community. Just
mm.
don't do it.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
There is one
So
other.
yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I would say like I'm planning eventually down the track. I don't know when it's going to happen, but playing a YouTube war myself, and because of the nature of YouTube wars, they're so long. They're so la da da. They take so long that even from the viewer perspective, I don't know how enjoyable it is. And I do want it to be something that's a show on some level, something that's engaging and interesting and brings forward like a lot of interesting factors behind it. So I'm not gonna cheat. But what I intend on doing, what I intend on doing is I'm going to put some footage in there, like Panzer King does, some World War II footage to drum it up and to give it a lot of pizzazz and interesting things, right? Just to make it more interesting and fun. So there'll be times I'm sure when I play that game that people will be like, he cheated here because he put some footage here of some explosion or whatever all else, some World War II footage, just as he was gonna do this, and I'm gonna just say straight up is like, that's just something that we're going to discuss with people individually. If they're comfortable with that, cool. And if not, that's fine too. And at the end of the day, it's just a game for me. And if people want to take it so seriously to that degree, then it's something else. But sorry, this is off topic to something else.
No, it's not because I mean, I there was definitely some confusion between me and the rest of the group about where cuts were okay in video.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
We discussed it extensively,
Yeah.
and I walked away with a different impression than what
Right.
they assumed
I see.
than their impression.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they were like, "Oh no, you can't do that." I'm like, "Guys, we discussed this.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was pretty clear where I could put
Yeah.
cuts in, and I
Yeah.
did it exactly like we said."
Right.
But
Right.
and we did. Now they
Yeah.
said, "Well, that's not what we meant." I'm like, "Okay, well then you need to be a little
Okay.
more
Yeah.
clear."
So
Because
worthwhile
I
discussing. Yeah.
literally walked away with the opposite impression of
Yeah.
what you guys
Yeah.
said.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I pushed this issue, I pushed this discussion a lot to make sure to
Yeah.
make sure we were on the same page.
Mm.
We still weren't on the same page.
Mm. Mm.
So,
Mm.
and so the way I did things at the start changed by later
Right.
on because
Yeah.
things got smooth,
Yeah.
things ran smoother. I learned
Yeah.
what worked, what didn't work.
Yeah. Yeah.
There were some discussions about, hey, in your videos, can you do it this way?
Sure.
And
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
all had that with each other, where it's like,
Mm.
oh, hey, in the future, can you clarify when you do this? Or
Hi.
oh yeah. Okay, I didn't realize that was confusing,
Yeah.
but you are
Yeah.
right. That is
Yeah.
a better way to do that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, it has to be a dialogue where everybody's comfortable with everything and
Mhm.
it needs to work out. With rules, everything all else needs to be clarified with everybody and filming as well. And length of videos, expose, whatever all else.
For two of the players in Crimson Tide, this was our very first YouTube war.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Okay.
there were mistakes, and I did my
course, of
best to
course, yeah.
avoid them, but
Yeah.
I still couldn't avoid them.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Only
Um,
two. I thought it'd be three. There'd be Hilltop and Panzer King have, but War Heroes and General Hand Grenade haven't. So
oh,
and
you're
yourself,
right.
so
General
three,
Grenade had not.
three.
He had not. Yeah.
Yeah,
So actually,
yeah, yeah.
three of us. This was our
Three,
very
yeah.
first YouTube war.
Yeah, so everyone's learning, everyone's figuring out what they want to do and how to do it and what what works best for everybody. And it's a completely different beast than actual gaming, right? So it's
It
a
is.
different story.
It is. Yeah. And you don't realize it until you do. Yeah.
Yeah, and there needs to be a lot of grace too to accommodate for people, but there has to be understanding and compromise too, where everybody's happy and everybody.
There
it
were
works out nicely.
two. There were two more points I wanted to make real quick because I know you're on a time
Yeah, I
talk
don't mind.
here at
Yeah,
some
yeah.
point. But
Start
one
off.
is that I want to back up a little bit to the type of game, how strict you wanted to be with
Hmm.
mistakes. Now, one
Right.
thing we talked extensively about, because we played with a bunch of expansions that hadn't really
Hmm.
hit the board very often.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we were all like, look, guys, we know
Yeah.
that there's going to be
Yeah.
problems here.
Issues. Yeah,
We
absolutely.
know there's potential issues. We know
Hmm.
that. So, and I clearly use the example of like the Devil's Brigade is an airborne. Well, if
Right.
my opponent doesn't know that he's an airborne unit, they don't plan for it. They leave Berlin open. Do I
Right.
feel it's
Right.
appropriate to then drop
Right.
an airborne
Hmm.
in Berlin and
Hmm.
take Berlin without going, hold on, hold
Hmm.
on. You may not
Hmm.
know this, but
Hmm.
I do in fact have an airborne because the Devil's
Hmm.
Brigade
Right.
is an
Yeah.
airborne
Yeah.
in
That's
London
fair.
and he can
Yeah. Yeah.
reach Berlin. Do you want to back it up and do it differently now?
Right.
I said that from the very beginning that
Yeah.
that's the mentality we should play with.
Hmm.
I think for the most part everybody did.
Hmm.
Where it was okay, there's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of potential issues that come up with the expansion. Even in the core rules, there's potential,
Hmm.
especially with the
Hmm.
different experience levels. So that's how I think. So we went into it all kind of with that kind of mentality of
Hmm.
if somebody gets a curveball that they truly did not understand, then yeah, let's walk it
Yeah.
back a little bit and
Yeah.
start over.
Yeah.
Another point that I wanted to bring up earlier, but I forgot was if you're if you are somebody whose attention span can wax and wane pretty quickly,
Right.
you might want to reconsider.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
And here's here and I I can focus for a long time. However, there were times where it was like Sunday night. I just spent several hours off and on talking with Panzer King about strategy and what we wanted to
Hmm.
do. And all of a sudden, I'm kind of excited to do my turn.
Hmm.
But then I've got to wait 4 days before it comes back to my
Yeah.
turn
Yeah.
because it's the week and everybody's busy
Yeah.
and whatnot. And it's kind of like by the time it comes back to my turn, I'm kind of like, uh, I just don't have the same kind of drive
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
energy. I was ready to play for
Yeah.
5 hours,
That's
six,
right.
7 hours
Yeah.
straight that night, and I could
Hmm.
have, but
Hmm.
and I'm good at keeping my attention and or compartmentalizing. Well, I can't really
Hmm.
worry about the game right now. I
Yeah.
got to
Yeah.
focus on work, or vice
Yeah.
versa. Don't worry about work. Focus on the game right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm pretty good at that. And even I had these kind of like
Yeah. I'm sure ups and
ups and
downs. Yeah.
downs.
Totally. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you're somebody who is not a casual person
Hmm.
and you want to go all the way, play all the way, and rah rah rah.
Yeah.
This is probably going to frustrate you
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're going to get really into it mentally.
Sure.
You're going to get focused. You're going to be excited for your turn. Then you got to go a whole week before you finish your turn,
Hmm.
and suddenly you've lost. And then the 2 days later after you're that day, you've lost
Hmm.
interest, and you don't have that drive.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. I
So
agree.
that is a
That
potential
is another
thing.
factor, yeah. So one more thing to tag on to that one is as well, because keep in mind this is going to be stretched off. How long is your game? 3 months? Was it 3 months?
Something like that.
Yeah, ours was from January to April, so January, February, March, April, so 3-ish months as well on our end of things. So 3 months to play a game. That means if you're losing, which I was in my game, I got third place. You're losing, and you're losing for like a month and a half, right? Are you ready to? Are you prepared to lose solidly every several times a week, losing for a month and a half? Like it gets a little depressing, and so do you have enough staying power to like consistently keep on showing up, right? Yeah, so it's one of those
Yeah,
things.
yeah, and it can wear away. Yeah, and it can be a little disheartening at
Yeah,
times.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
yeah. Like,
And some
and
people can, some people can't.
some people can't. Like in my case, it's like, yeah, you just gotta do it. You just gotta play it out, and I still have fun losing as much as anything else. But it's nice. It's also nice to kind of lose in the company of other people and even if it's in the company of your winners. But if you're like in your basement by yourself, hovering over table, losing for like a month, it's like, yeah, this kind of sucks. I wish I
Yeah,
had people
well,
to
you want to
joke
be a
around with.
gracious loser, just like
That's
you
right.
want to
Yeah,
be a
you do.
gracious
You do.
winner.
Yeah, absolutely do. Yeah, yeah. So
So, all
that
right, I
many
think
different factors about YouTube War. This is just
yeah.
a general kind of ramble, I guess. So we
Well,
cover many
for
different things.
anybody who's interested in it,
Yeah, yeah.
maybe wants to do one at some point, or has thought about
Mm,
doing one, or
mm,
signed up for one but doesn't know what to
mm.
expect yet.
Yeah,
If this gives anybody useful information
yeah.
about what
That's
it
right.
could be
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
that'd be
yeah,
great.
yeah. That's right. Yeah.
So we're gonna. I think we've covered most of the
I
points.
think so. I think
Yeah,
so. Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sure there are more things we can discuss, and if there's
yeah,
something that if anybody has any questions that maybe we didn't cover or want some clarification
yeah.
on stuff, you
Absolutely.
know,
Yeah.
leave comments and questions below about like, well, what about this, and how did you handle this, and that sort of thing.
That's right.
Yeah, this is a great time to do it.
Yeah.
From somebody who's just got done with one and their first one at that. So I have.
Is there another one in your future, you think?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice.
Now there are now I don't. I have other things on my plate.
Same. Yeah.
I am already signed up for one, but we don't know when it's going to happen.
Is it the same one? Like,
I think we're both signed up for that one.
Red October. Yeah.
Yeah, we're both signed up for Red October, but we just don't know when it's really going to happen.
Yeah. If it's going to
so because some of the players that are going to be in that are just finishing up Crimson Tide,
and hopefully
they might want some time to kind of decompress.
Yeah.
That's
right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And I wanted to see if I could finish this expansion to release it in time for that game. That would be fun. If possible. But,
and I've got something else I want to do with my table in the meantime as well.
Right.
So I've got other things to take care of.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So again, the next video we're going to do is where I'm going to actually, this was just about the experience of doing a YouTube war. Next time I want to actually talk about my strategy within Crimson Tide as the Commonwealth player.
Yeah.
And then after that, maybe we'll kind of do a post-mortem on Crimson Tide as a whole.
2 more videos? What the heck?
Dude, our list is like.
Oh, our list is massive. Yeah.
Our list is massive about stuff we want to talk about.
For sure.
But our lives have just been in opposite directions of late.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So,
Platypus. Where do you see a platypus?
I know it's
Is he a platypus?
fine.
Oh, he sees a platypus over there. He's got the duck beak. Yeah. He sees that.
Oh, my son on the VR headset. Yeah,
the VR headset looks like a bill for a platypus. Yeah. Okay, right on. Okay.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap this up, and hopefully tomorrow morning we'll be able to get the next video
A
done.
little bit quieter tomorrow morning for sure. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Okay, everybody, this is Wintermute and Jinx signing off.
It's a
Bye.